People who were missing as a child? What happened? I was technically a missing child for 14 hours when I was 7, but I didn't find out the full story until I was 26. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone. My childhood was pretty normal. Loving parents, decent school, the usual Midwest upbringing. But there was always this weird thing my mom would say whenever we passed missing children posters. "Thank God we found you." I always thought it was just her being dramatic or something. When I was about 7, I have this really fuzzy memory of being at my Aunt Rita's house for a family gathering. I remember playing hide and seek with my cousins and finding this perfect hiding spot in Rita's basement behind some old furniture. I must have fallen asleep there because my next memory is waking up to absolute chaos. Police, my parents crying, neighbors with flashlights. Everyone kept hugging me and saying how worried they were, but I was just confused because in my mind, I'd only been hiding for a little while. After that, my parents never really talked about it. When I'd bring it up, they'd change the subject or say something vague like, "You just wandered off," or "You were playing too far from the house." It became this weird family non-event that everyone acknowledged happened but no one would discuss. Fast forward to my mid-20s. I was home for Christmas, going through old photo albums with my mom. We found this newspaper clipping she'd saved. It was a small article about a local child found safe after community search effort. The article mentioned my name and said I'd been missing for 14 hours, but gave no details about where I was found or what happened. Something about seeing it in print made me push harder for answers. My mom got really uncomfortable but finally said, "You should talk to your father about this." That was weird because my dad never kept secrets. When I confronted him, he looked like he might throw up. He asked me to sit down and then told me something that completely rewrote my understanding of my childhood. Apparently, I hadn't just wandered off playing hide and seek. According to my dad, my biological father, a man named Tyler I'd never met or even knew existed, had taken me. My dad, who I'd always thought was my biological father, explained that he'd adopted me when I was a baby after my mom left Tyler due to his increasingly erratic behavior. They'd gotten a restraining order, changed my last name, and moved to a different town, but somehow Tyler had found us. He showed up at Rita's house during that family gathering, claiming to be a distant cousin no one had met before. While everyone was distracted, he convinced me to play a game where we'd surprise everyone by hiding. He took me to his car and drove me to a motel 3 towns over. The police found us because Tyler used his credit card at a gas station. When they arrived at the motel, Tyler was passed out drunk and I was watching cartoons, completely unaware of what was happening. I had no memory of the car ride or the motel. My brain had apparently blocked it all out. My parents decided not to tell me the truth, thinking it would traumatize me more. I've spent the last 2 years processing all this. I've looked into my biological father. He died in prison about 5 years ago, unrelated charges. I've had to reframe my entire childhood through this new lens.